So, uh, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Cameron Regan. I'm president of MEC Timing, this person who brings you measures and Dietrich and live timing. This is the first measures training for this season. What we'll be going over today is measures sort of in its entirety, giving you a highlight of some of the things that have changed and some things that you'll have to take a look at, and then we will go over to the team scoring software, which is used primarily in Ontario for running team events. If you guys have any questions, please just interject and ask them. For the recording that we're doing, only my voice is getting recorded, so I will repeat your question just so that there's context for each answer. So, why don't we get started? So we have measures. If I open it up again, one of the things that we've added in the previous couple of years is that we get an update warning. So if there is, this is both for measures and Dietrich, so if there has been changes to measures, a new release, we release an email to our email list. If you're not on it, please join, but I assume because all of you are here, you are all on the email list. But once that release goes live, you will actually start getting these pop-ups. I am getting this because I'm actually using a pre-release version, so it still doesn't understand what's going on. So measures, it's a software we use to to do administration of the race, which is separate from Dietrich, which we use for timing the races. So really, we start at the home button or the home tab and we move all the way over to the output tab. Very few times do you have to sort of go backwards, but we usually start and then go up to the other one. So let me just pull this up. So we're going to create a new race. I'm going to, I usually make a folder per race just because measures has a lot of files associated with it, and if there are a lot of files, sometimes they can get lost if you're moving back and forth between computers. So I like to just make a folder so that it's a little bit easier to manage. So every club has their own naming convention that you guys like to use. I usually just go with the date, and then we're going to do a slalom. So you can say, is this a para event? This will turn on all the factors and allow you to deal with races that have factored times. The next question is, do you want to copy race data from old systems? So what this allows you to do is copy header information. So that is jury, weather, factors, title information, and it also allows you to copy racer data. So if you have multiple of the same race or multiple times that you're using the same team, you can actually use the copy information from old to allow for your ease of creating the race. So I'm just going to say no because we want to add all of that information ourselves. So headers is the first thing that we look at, and we go through each one of these just to make sure that we have all of the information that we need. So the race titles and parameters. This gives you the information for sort of general for the race. The two lines, so the title lines, we have 5 lines. The first 2 have to be filled in. The first line is the event name, and the second name is the organizer. And then I think I saw Suki on here, but what I would suggest is most PSOs or PTSOs have a standardized format that they want to do. They want to thank the sponsors. They want to have the specific names of who's in there. So just reach out if you don't know what the what your format is that you want. Just reach out to your PTSO and they should be able to provide you that information. So I'm just going to go in here. Discipline. So that's the type of race that you have. So we're going to say Solemn. Race level is Nat for this one, and gender is going to be female. One of the things that we have in measures is down here, there's a little help icon. Actually, let me make that a little bit bigger. Is that better for people? Okay, so we have a little help icon, and if we click on this, it allows you to see what information is required for each field. So this one is looking for a race date, so we'll put it in at the correct format. Application. And so I'm just going to turn off help for right now. Report lines. So we hit save. So that's your race titles done. Then we can look at jury and technical data. So you can add in a line for TD candidate, or if you want to do your vertical in feet, you can check the box. We can say okay. So this is the information that for all of the different people that are part of the race in sort of the higher level sections. The one thing that we've changed in this is the ability to add a official's ID number. So if I go see Regan and I'm Canadian, I can put in my my official ID number, and this data gets then migrated through the XML file and uploaded into Alpine Points as well. So we can put in your chief of race, your referee, chief of course, start referee, finish referee, RA, which will probably be your name, and then chief of timing. We can put in the name of the course, and we can put in the start. So this would be 450. Codex number. So there's help is really easy for this. So because we're doing a national race, you'll get a national codex from Alpine Points. That is either NAT or REC, and then it's the year, RB23, and then whatever the codex is, I'm just going to put in 9s for our race. So, Suki brings up a good question. Where do you find the officials' numbers? And that would be in Alpine Points. And you can look here for name or card numbers on the Alpine Points page. So if I look at yes, Georgian Peaks. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, hey Rachel. That would be a Suki question. I am not 100% sure on that yet. I was told that it was coming, that it would be required. I'm not 100% sure if that has been turned on yet. So next we can go to course setter and forerunners. So this allows you to type in course setter for both first and second run. And then you can put in the forerunners that you have for each run. Then we need to put the number of gates and the number of turns. So that would be something that you would get from the course setter. So I'm just going to say 25, 20. And then when does the race start? Or when does run 1 start? Next one is weather and snow factors. So just some information about the race and what's going on. The F factor is part of the calculation for points. We insert the one that is valid for the type of race that you've said it is. So we said this was a slalom, so it's 730. If you ever need to, 99% of the time you'll never have to change this, but if you do, you can change it. There are a couple extra factors in here that get added when it's a FIS or a higher level race, which can be pulled off of the Alpine or the FIS points list. We put both, most of the information is already in measures. It's just a good thing to double check just to make sure that you have all of that data correct. Snow conditions. Actually, let's make it Alberta weather. So that's our header information. So that will be all of sort of the information that is required for the general race that you're doing. The next one that we do is racers. So you have a couple ways to add racers. So we can add racers. If we want to say from a points file, we can do that. Points files can be found either. So there's 3 different points files that you can use. There is the general Alpine points file. So if you download the CSV file, you can import that into measures. I do not have access, but there are, once racers are being registered into races, you can download a points file for that particular race. So you can then select all of those racers and add them in directly. Then the last one would be, if you're doing a FIS race, you pull directly from the FIS website for points. So those are how we get points. If we say no, I can actually enter in racer data ourselves. I'm not going to do that because you need to add division, their code, how many points they have, category group, all that sort of stuff. But let me go add from points file. Let me grab my test file. We asked this question, do you want to calculate categories from birth year? We usually say no for this. The only time you would say yes is if you were using an outdated points file for a new race. So if you're using a points file from last year and you want to use it for this year, you'd have to recalculate the categories because they might have changed because of the birth year. So now I say get names from pick list, and we have a list of all of the racers that were in that point list. So I have a bunch of ways to do selections. So I can say select all, I can say select, that gives me everyone, Or I could say I only want club beaver. I can say select, and that gives me 14 racers. Perfect. Suki just gave me a event that we can use to test or to show. So if we click entry download, you would click the measures format for download, and that would give you a measures list format that will allow for all of those racers to be selected to be put into the race. So I'm going to say I want to select all these racers because it was a registration. Once they're selected, you click exit, and it says selection is about to be added to race file. We'll say continue. And then we can exit out of adding racers. So at the bottom here, we have view racers. At any point during the time that you're working in measures, you can just click F5 and you can see all of the racers and all the information. We can update racers' points. Updating racers' points will create a brand new race. You can change racers' names, we can edit racers' information, and you can delete racers from a race if you want. Next one we're going to do is draw. So this is where you assign the bibs to your racers. So you can either do it automatically or you can manually pick a racer and put a bib and a start position with them. So we'll go automatic. So it says that we assign start positions according to racer points. We can draw top racers and we can draw matching seed points. Continue. So just have to read this a little carefully. It just says enter the number of racers in the top seed. So that's the number of racers that you want randomized. Usually that would be about 15, but that's something that would be told by the TD. Randomly draw all racers, enter 86, which is the number of everyone in the race, and all racers by seed points, enter 1. So I'm going to randomly draw everyone. So I'm going to say OK. So I'm going to randomly draw, yes. Now, when we are doing more than one race, male and female on the same day, you're not going to be able to use, most of the time you're not going to be able to use the same bibs for each. So usually what it is that men get 1 to 100 or 1 to 200, and then females get 200, 101 up, or 201 up. So the race that we're doing today, we start position 1 at bib 101. So the first racer is going to have bib 101. Do you want to skip any bibs? So when we lose a bib, there's 2 options that you can have. You can either make the bib out of duct tape, which I've seen done many times, or we can just tell measures to skip a bib. So you can just say, I want to skip bib 5 or 105 because we don't have it. And then that bib doesn't get used and it just moves down the line. So I'm going to say no to this. So now we have all of the starts and all of the bibs. We can insert late entries. So that would just be adding a racer into the race after you've done your assignment. So now we have racers. Now it's going to be race day, so we're going to want to run a run 1 start list. So you can report options, you can add whatever information you want into it. I'm going to set OK. These sort options, they actually change the start order because you are sorting the start list. So if you sort by club, what that will actually do is put all of the one club together, then the second club together, then the third club together. And that was great that we used that during COVID because they didn't want all of the different clubs intermixing. But that'll be something that will be told to you if that's something that is being brought up. So I'm not going to be sorting. I'm going to say, okay, do we want an inverted yeah. It holds it. Sorting by club holds the bib number but not the start position. So every racer will have the same bib, but they will not have the same start position. So the next is, do we want it in run one inverted? So we're going to say no. So this allows you to either show the compressed or the uncompressed start list. So the compressed start list is only usually one page for about 250 racers. The non-compressed is like 4 pages for that. So we usually do compressed just so that we have less paper. So we have all of the racers in order. We can print this out to hand out. So now we're done run one. Now we hand it off to the timers. They do their timing. We get back a data file from Detris. So I'm going to load Detris formatted runtimes. I am going to pick the run one dat. I'm going to say that I'm going to update run one. This is telling me that inside the file we put in the race date when Detris generated that data. So this is just telling me that I'm loading data that was not for today. This won't show up if you're actually doing it on the day, but because I'm using old data, this is why this shows up. So we're going to say load. Now if I go view racers, all the racers are there with times. Then I can click exit. We have run one done. We can do your start list for run two. Second run start order. So normal run start order. So that would be finish order from run one. We can also do same. So that would be just using the same start order, or you can do invert. So I'm just going to say invert for this race. Do we want to include any DNFs or DNSs in second run? For lower level races, yes, and for higher level races, no. So FIS will not include DNFs and DSQs. And Ontario, Suki, can you let me know which groups we include on? Oh, okay. Perfect. Oh, no worries, Suki. Okay, so pretty much anything except for FIS, you include DNS and DNFs. View compressed start list, yes. So that gives you your start list. I'll exit that. Now we hand it back off to the timers. They give us another DAT file for run 2. We can say that we want to update run 2 data. Date file filled because I'm using old data. I'm going to say I want to load it. Now I have times for run 2. So we have all the race data in here. Now this is that crunch time after the last racer's finished and everyone wants to go home, so that they want to know who's first, second, and third. So what we can do is we go to calculations. So this is calculating the points for the racers. So we go calculate a 2-run race. So enter the national point list number used. So that would be the full number that you get off of Alpine points. Let me just show that to you. So it would be, oh, I guess they don't actually show it on here. But it would be 2301. That's how the points lister are done. So 23 is the season number, and then whatever list ID it is. So right now, in our current, at the current time, we are in the 2301. So this is one thing, if you are looking at this, it's telling you that penalties have changed because the min and max of racers' points have had to be capped. So it's just flag that for the TD. So we've got our penalty calculation. Pardon me. Then we can do unofficial results. So we can either say unofficial results or results. So I can say results, printer 2 run race. And that gives you your results for the race. One thing that I would say is if I go here again, sort by club, what this allows you to do is sort of do a cut sheet for each club. So if I click on that, this does not change what their formatting is, but what it does is it allows for each one of the groups to see exactly where their team is. So they don't have to go searching through the full 86 list. They've got every single one of the racers all together. Then we can do official results, print 2 run. So that's your official results with your racers' points. And then the last thing is, so you've gotten all of the racers done, you've gotten all of the results out so that you have the racers all know where they stood. Now we have to give it to Alpine points so that it can be calculated into the points for the next week. So if we go to outputs, we go output national points file. So this is your club code, so I'm just going to say Craigleith. You can pick where you want to save it. So by default, it puts it in measures outputs. I'm just going to leave it there for right now. Are you sure this is where you want it? Yes. What timer type it is. So LGS4, 301 for the national point list. There we go. So if I go now to see measures outputs, this one, let me just open it with something that's a little nicer to look at. This is the XML which is provided, which is then uploaded to Alpine Points. So that is a full race in measures. Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes, Jason. So if you look, I've put in, so race titles, these two are required. The first 2 runs, all of this information is required, the discipline race level. Jury and technical data, I've only put in a TD. I've left all the rest blank. there's two pieces to this. One is that if there is data missing, the system will tell you. So it'll say turning gates not found or something to that effect if needed. The second part is if you don't fill out everything, Alpine Points will kick it out saying there's an error with it. Print all the information. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. So that, yeah. Well, and that's what I was saying is that if if I take out the number of gates when I go save, and if I go and I want to say national points upload, gates is missing. So it will tell you if there is data missing and what that data will be. Yeah, so if I go official results, so it just doesn't show a number of gates. So, yes, it would. It if you are manually if you are manually adding a racer into a race, you need to make sure um, that you are putting um, all of the information in their competitor card, their points, because the system will let you run without that information and it'll let you output everything. But because Measures does not know that you haven't provided all of the right points data, it will kick it out once you try to upload it to Alpine Points, because their point calculation might be different than what was done in Measures. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's being uploaded to Alpine Points, your best option is never to add a racer manually. Wait for that racer to be added to the points list and then add that racer in that way. Dan asked a question: if Measures and Dietrich are on the same computer, do they communicate directly or do you have to select files? You can do two different ways. So one is that theoretically you will not be using Measures and Dietrich at the same time. The two options are is you can do the export from the DAT file and then open up Measures and load the DAT file in. The second option is that there is an option in Dietrich to I think it's called directly to Measures, and what that does is you tell it to where the RCR file is, and it will write the timing data directly into the correct run for the RCR. So you can say directly to Measures, pick the RCR file, close Dietrich, and then open Measures, and your times will already be there. So let me exit Measures. The next thing that we wanted to go over was team scoring. So team scoring is used in some of the lower bracketed groups, right, Suki? So to find the add-ons for Measures, we go to Measures from Products. and we have our two different ones. So one is team scoring and one is the sprint tool. So the one that we're talking about today is team scoring. So you can just download it and it will automatically, you can install it. So I already have it installed. What we have is this is your team scoring tool. What it does is it takes a men and a women's race, smashes them together and calculates a team point score, and also gives you some nice data for reporting and for giving out medals. So if I go to, we don't care which file is which, whether it's male or female, because the system will automatically know which one is which. So I'm going to pick, so this is my team scoring, so you would have your two races. So I'm going to say race 1, and then the next one, I'm going to pick race 2. So I have my two races. I'll say save. And I want, so it saves it directly as a PDF. So I can say report complete. And if I go into team scoring example, which is the one that we just looked at, so it pulls the header information directly from the first race that you provide. It gives you all of your individual scores for each racer. Then it gives you your top female medals and ribbons. So top 10 for females, top 10 for male. Team scores. It tells you what the team is, boys versus girls, or boys score, girls score, co-ed score. This is a demo race, so that's why there's so many different teams in here. Technically, or like theoretically, it should only be 4 or 5. And then this gives you your top 3. So your rankings for boys, girls, and co-ed. So that it's really easy for you as a RA to print this off and hand it out and give your medals for this. Going to be honest, I forget exactly how the scoring is done, but it is to the specifications that were outlined by AOA previously. Yes. Change what? That would be an update that I would have to do. And like, are you saying that you want that on a per? Is different parameters, like different number of racers and stuff, that should be pretty quick. And if, as long as it's something that is like, is SOD and AOA doing 2 different types of team scoring, or is it just SOD? Okay. Yeah. So probably I'd need to know before January what the information is. Yeah. Okay, so that's all that I have. Does anyone have any questions about any of the stuff that I've seen or I've shown today? Okay, perfect. Well, you know what? I'll give you 15 minutes of your life back. So, thank you all for joining today. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Yes. Yes, I gotta make sure that the recording looks good, and then I will actually be uploading it to YouTube, and I'll send it out as a link for it. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys. Talk to you later.